and welcome to Vault Boys WV. This is your card-carrying cryptozoologist, Dave Chaffins. And joining me is my favorite, son of a Mothman, Austin O'Connor. What's going on, Austin?
How's it going, man? Not a whole lot going on in my world, but how are you feeling?
I
You
feel
were
like
just
I feel
explaining
like
some things to me.
I feel like shit. I feel
Yeah?
pretty terrible. I got my COVID vaccine, which is a great thing. First time it really took me out. This time it's like it is the same. So here's a really quick story. I got married, as you know, my wife.
My wife.
My wife. And we had a kind of an afternoon wedding, and then we had the after party in the evening. It was a very small situation at her parents' house in the backyard. But right from there, we had to travel to St. Lucia for our honeymoon, and we had a flight out of Raleigh at 5 a.m. that next day. So we're leaving Blacksburg which is where we got married, at midnight, and driving to Raleigh. And so I'm the one driving, and then we get to the airport. Of course, it's impossible to sleep at the airport. Like, you can't actually get comfy on those seats. And then we're on the flight. And then we get to St. Lucia, and it's like another hour drive to get there. And by the time I get to St. Lucia, I've been awake this entire time. Mm-hmm. And I'm absolutely exhausted at that point. And that is very similar to how I feel today.
Yeah.
I've stored up so much energy for this podcast. So much energy. I am bringing such
Heart and soul.
It's great vibes. I'm feeling great. I'm gonna bring
it. You're doing like I just told you, this is your Michael Jordan flu game today. You're really just laying it all out there. Yeah, I know. Like I was telling you, after my first shot last week, I felt like somebody came into my room in the middle of the night and just beat my ass and left, and then I woke up. Like, that's what it felt like.
Yep.
It was, but short-term inconvenience for a long-term gain, because it's definitely a good thing. I do it 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah. They had said, what is it? They said that like the feeling that you get maybe after the shot could be what you feel if you had COVID.
Yeah.
But it would be like worse. And if I was any worse, like I wouldn't move. Like, even sitting still, I like all of my joints ache.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, I need some like joint juice from the Sam's Club. Like, I need to go get some like omega-3s in my system or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
it definitely is a weird feeling.
Yeah.
And it's one of those that,
and it's stupid to complain about. Like, it's stupid to complain about entirely. But,
you know you're not sick, but it's just,
right.
I mean, I'm dramatic, so I obviously milked every bit of it I could for sympathy from people around me. But it's yeah, I don't know. It's interesting how some people just don't have the reaction. Even people our age haven't had a reaction to it, and then some people are even worse off than we were. So and it's the same with COVID in general. So nothing makes sense to me.
It's almost comedic, because like I'll sit on the couch and watch, like, play some games or watch some TV or something, and then I'll like go to stand up to do, because now it's like efficiency. When I stand up to do something, it's like, okay, I'm gonna refill my water, I'm gonna use the bathroom, like I'm gonna do all the things that I need to do for the next 2 hours. But the moment I stand up, it's like I have like moved like some sort of mummy from like an Indiana Jones movie, and it's I've like come up and I am like all rickety and such, and it's funny. Yeah. It's just funny because I normally, like, I don't get that sick in general, and so it's weird to go through that,
I totally get what you mean, because when it hits like that, I mean, you're just helpless. It's just like but I mean, like I think I felt like I had a hangover for the day, and then a few days later I felt good. But Bill Gates controls us now, and we're bugged.
Yeah. Bill Gates does control us. That's true.
I've been calling people comrade.
I think some people maybe got the Bill Gates. I think some people are now controlled by Dolly Parton.
I would love that. Honestly, she could do that if she wanted to right now, and I would just cool. Love Dolly.
That's part of it. I'm just looking here. Go ahead, speak again. We may be getting some audio quality issues.
Oh, are we?
Check again.
Hello, hello,
Hello, hello, hello. I'm here.
hello, hello.
Mm.
48K dial up on my ears.
Oh,
Oh.
oh, it was a joke. It was a joke. Somebody. Okay, okay. So the Fallout Hub, the Twitch
Ah,
account, the Fallout Hub is in the chat right now, which is another podcast that I do that said that there was a 48K dial up on the podcast, and now they're claiming to be me, and that's not me. That's not me.
oh.
Th- there's an imposter. I feel like that this is just like real life Among Us at this point.
It's a little
Anyways,
sus.
anyways, I am entirely thrown off my game now. How has your week been?
So you're doing Dave things. How was my? Did you say how was my week?
How has your weekday been? No, I just want to know about your weekday.
How's my weekday?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Your week and this day.
my weekend this day.
Mm-hmm.
It's been, I've just been here. You knew my eventful week last week between getting my toenail ripped off and getting the vaccine and getting microchipped up, and it's been like back to normal this week.
Mm-hmm.
I can go run again without pain. I get like
Do you have like a
cool.
little nubby toenail?
I don't have a toenail at all right now.
I
On
mean, do
that.
you have
On
like
that.
is it coming back? Do you have like a little baby?
It will eventually. No, there's no nail right now, which
Yeah.
I thought would be painful, but
Mm-hmm.
the toe has like healed. So it just kind of looks, like I said, it looks like a thumb just on this side.
Here's a pro tip for you. Okay, I don't know if you
Yeah.
have to deal with this, and I feel like I'm going right into an ad here because I have to deal with hair loss. That's something that I have to deal with, and
Yeah.
I take a literal. I don't do Hims or Keeps or MeUndies or whatever. I'm just telling you that I go to the store and I get a basic vitamin that has biotin in
Yeah.
it, and that helps with
Same.
hair health. But it makes your fingernails and toenails grow. And so I have to
Yeah.
cut my fingernails and toenails a lot more. I'm just giving out all kinds of personal information today. This is just great. I have to do that a lot more, or else in X Men 2, Lady Deathstrike, she had to fight
Uh-huh.
Wolverine. So Wolverine had the claws, Lady Deathstrike had the nails. Why don't they do
hmm
more with Lady Deathstrike? Is my question.
We're going all over the place today. We're just hitting everything.
Part of it.
Vitamins, Wolverine, COVID shots, missing toenails, hair loss.
What else? What else?
Bill Gates dial up. We thought we had audio issues. We're in shambles. I'm in shambles.
Exactly. So here's the thing. We did. I don't think I actually prepped an intro segment, a question,
Yeah.
for the intro segment, but I'm just gonna roll with the same one that we have been doing because we probably have
Yeah.
more. We have more to give. These questions are like beautiful pasture cows, and we're gonna milk them.
Yeah.
So, Austin, as most weeks, I ask you now, what's your $1 million idea?
I'm still, I would say like one that I'm still thinking about is the phone case for your toe. Still thinking about that. Wheels are
Okay.
still turning on that one. But I also think I accidentally left like 2 candles burning last night when I fell asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And they got like the automatic candles, like that are fake, that like you put them on a timer.
Mm-hmm.
I need that, but like with a real candle, like a candle that can like extinguish itself after a certain amount of time.
Kind of like a sleep timer,
Yeah, this could exist again too, but if not, I feel like I need to get in on that.
Yeah.
So I could be all about like, phone case for your toe, or could I interest you in this candle that shuts itself off after 2 hours so you don't burn the house down?
Do you have the lighter on top of the candle for just accessibility, or do you have like a bunch of candles that have a bunch of lighters, or is that the one lighter?
This one just happened to be here.
Okay. I'm just
normally
curious
it's in
about your candle setup.
Normally it's in a drawer.
I don't
have
live in a
this one
bachelor pad. I'm happily married man, but I'm always curious about.
Yeah. No, I have this on my table here, but I have another one on another table there. I have one in my room. They're kind of everywhere right now. There's really no rules, so each week is different.
It's all good sense and wax to me. That's what I know you love is good sense and wax.
Yeah, I do. You're right, but that's my other $1 million idea this week. What is your $1 million idea?
I would say Right now, I have a lot of stairs. I live in a
Yeah,
city
you do.
house. I have a lot of stairs. I have to walk upstairs all day. Fortunately, that's good for probably my health and
Hmm.
in general, my
Yeah.
activity.
Hmm.
Um, but I need like, here's the thing. So you know when like you go to old churches or nursing homes and they have the little seat that's like robotic that you like press the little lever on it and then it like glides you up to the top. That's cumbersome. There
Hmm.
needs to be like
That's a lot.
a less cumbersome way. So
Hmm.
okay, so first of all, we had to figure out how to do the down, going down the
Hmm.
stairs, and I think a, a sled of some sort, but you need to have like a buffer, like so there needs
Hmm.
we need to have something to stop us, think giant
Right.
Q-tips.
Yeah.
Um, so get a sled, but then if you have the sled, you can set that
Hmm.
against the wall. So you don't really need that. But when you're feeling a little,
Yeah.
like you just got the COVID vaccine and you need to slide down the steps, you can just
Yeah.
like set that aside. It's not taking up a lot of room. Getting up the steps, however, is a tougher situation to which I would then like you're gonna have to propel yourself up. So this is where my idea falters, is because okay, in my head
Hmm.
I'm like, well, I don't want to walk up the stairs. What am I gonna do? Get a rope and pull myself up? Then I'm just using upper body strength. And frankly, like pulling yourself uphill with a rope and a sled, like
Hmm.
that's not good. That's not $1 million idea,
Yeah. Needs to be hashed out a little
It
more.
needs to be hashed out a little more. Like, is there some sort of way? How do we go up? Like, what's the
Right.
unless
Hmm.
so here's the thing. The, we learned this. I'm an OSHA certified observer, so I'm not an actual
Hmm.
OSHA officer, but I can observe an incident. And one of the things we had to learn is how to pull up a body, like if somebody passed out in like a manhole. It's like
Yeah.
the crane to like attach, and then it's like a series of multiple pulleys, so that it's
Hmm.
enough so that you can actually like the weight is distributed enough so you could easily like pull yourself or pull the other
Hmm.
person up, just like dead weight out of the manhole or whatever, or,
Hmm.
strange holes. I don't know where people fall and just pass out. Um,
Yeah.
but if I had a pulley like that, like a several notch pulley, that would be good. But
Hmm.
it can be too conspicuous,
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna have to talk to Selena, and there's just gonna be
Like,
a lot of planning.
is it gonna be like Robinson Crusoe? Like, is it gonna be like Home Alone eventually, where I just like have contraptions just about my house? Like, is
Well, you've
that
already talked about creating cryptids for the outside of your house. Now you need like contraptions and trapdoors and pulleys and all sorts of stuff on the inside, and then you have the creepy house in the neighborhood, which is a coveted thing that to possess, to be a part of, I think.
That's true. I pitched that cryptid idea to my neighbor, and my neighbor said that he wants to join our houses together, like make like
Hmm.
a gate in our fence in between us, um, so that he could do like a half haunted house and I could do like half like cryptid house. And I told him that if he
That
does
would be
haunted
cool.
house and he like gets a chainsaw without the chain on it and just stands at the other end of the yard and he
Hmm.
chases after people, people will jump the fence. Like we don't need to
Yeah.
make a door. People will just jump that fence.
Hmm. Right into the cryptid house.
Yeah, pretty easy. And then they're in
It's
a
a
safe
win-win.
space.
Win-win.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's ergonomic.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm here for it, and you have my full support.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad. I don't know if that's a million. I don't know if my idea was a million. Like, would people pay $1 million
It could get there. It
for
could get
like a
there.
sled and some pulleys? You know,
It could get there.
I don't know. I don't know. It's got to be compact. Technology today is so
Mhm.
compact.
I don't even know why we do this segment anymore, because I think Ken kind of won everything with his Mothman
That's
butt
probably.
idea.
I mean, that's probably true because that's
I feel like
marketing.
neither
Yeah.
of us. I feel like neither of us could top that at this
hmm
point. So
It's very funny to do. Every single podcast I do is with some sort of marketing professional.
Yeah.
And I'm not a marketing professional, and so I always it's just very interesting the outlooks that I get from a difference of you and Tom and Ken are all different from a marketing standpoint as far as what you
Mm-hmm.
do, but I'm nowhere near that. I am like a nerdy go to the basement and you got to work on the computer, or you're going out in the field and you're gonna like hop in a trench. Um, so it's always interesting, Me,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like how do I make my life easier? But I don't know if it's
Right.
$1 million. I don't know if I have the right marketing or the right idea for that.
Well, it's $1 million idea for you, and that's all that matters. It's all that matters.
Oh, uh, today, today, the topic of
Hold
the show,
today.
topic of the show. I wanted to talk to you about kaiju, which is the colloquial term for monsters like Godzilla, monsters like King Kong,
Hmm.
monsters like I don't know what's a giant monster that just comes and wrecks cities. Is it Rudy Giuliani? Who knows? Who knows what that monster could be?
Uh,
But I'm going to specifically talk about some of the bigger monsters in the monster world. Austin, what's your
yeah.
history with Godzilla, King Kong, kaiju, giant robots? You down with the giant robot business? Like, what's kind of your background there?
Um. So this is maybe like an unpopular viewpoint, and I might be like in the minority here. Like
Okay.
I just haven't. I've never really gotten into the movies. I've seen like here's the thing. I've seen bits and pieces of like all of them, other than the newest,
Right.
Kong versus Godzilla,
Right.
because I don't have HBO Max because I am a broke boy. But I don't dislike them, but I've
Mm-hmm.
just never really gotten fully into them. Um, so, and I know that probably like the storytelling probably isn't necessarily the greatest in a lot of them. I think that like the way I've always looked at it is if you want to see like a giant, gorilla
Mm.
fighting something and just causing destruction, like it's the movie for you. If you want like a really drawn out story with incredible acting, probably not the movie for you. So I've just never gotten
Andy
into it.
Serkis would have something to say about this, by
Well,
the way.
see, I mean, I'm sure there are people that probably think they're the most amazing movies in the world, and I don't, not hating on that. I have nothing against that. But it's just never really been for me. But I really, really hope today that you change my mind on that, and that you make me want to go rewatch and really get into this.
So my first experience with the monster world is when I was a kid. They used to have a King Kong ride at Universal. They have a different a
Hmm.
different King Kong ride at Universal, but the original one you were like in a cable car, and King
Hmm.
Kong comes in the city and grabs your cable car and shakes you
I think I
around.
remember that.
That's kind of an older ride. The newer Skull Island ride is very scary, and actually we passed that up because my wife has an
My
innate
wife.
an innate fear of mannequins, wax figures.
The Uncanny Valley, is that what it's
Yeah,
called?
the uncanny
Yeah.
valley. Yeah, she has like a get me out of here or I'm going to have a panic attack situation. And we got on that ride, and that ride has a bunch of people that live on Skull Island, which is where Kong is from, that are just like in the
Hmm.
walls that are like robots that come out and are like grabbing you and trying to scare you. And it's very dark in
Yeah.
there, so you really can't see. And that's just the line. That's the line for the ride. That's not even the ride.
Yeah.
And so we're in this line, and then Selena's trying to look up what is um, like what the ride is about because she's getting a little afraid. And then she learns that um, sometimes park workers will dress up as the Skull Island people and pop out of places and scare people in the
Hmm.
line. And so she was like, "Okay, yeah, we're gonna leave. That's what we're gonna do." Um, so
Yeah.
so that original ride, that King Kong ride, is my first foray into the monster film. And then I think I watched the Peter Jackson's King Kong. I think that was the first like King Kong movie I watched, which is
Hmm.
a really good movie. That's a really good movie. That's like up there with like Jurassic Park as level of goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how to describe that. Um, it's got Jack Black. Jack Black is name a bad Jack Black movie. You can't. You can't name a bad movie that Jack Black is in. It's impossible. The Jumanji movie
He
is great.
I think he's one of my favorite. Like, if you really like, I don't really ever think about it, but now that like I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it, Jack Black is probably one of the more likable people in Hollywood over the last like 20 years
100%.
because he's just unproblematic, funny, and he just seems like a fun, just like normal dude that
Yeah,
just likes being in movies.
he's a proponent of fun and kind of
Hmm.
like wackiness in general.
Yeah, his TikTok is pretty fun because he's just a goofy dad. So
that's what I have observed.
I forgot he was in that movie though.
Yeah,
I completely forgot that.
he's a filmmaker in the movie. He's kind of the one that starts that
Oh
expedition.
yeah.
Is he's trying to make a film about King Kong.
Hmm.
It's got Adrian Brody in it. I
Yeah.
forgot who plays the girl in it.
Was it Naomi? It's not Naomi Watts, is it?
I think it's Naomi Watts. I think it is. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. Anyways, that's a great movie. And from
Huh.
there, I essentially watched more and more monster films, even the old ones. Like, I've seen a few of those, particularly Mystery Science Theater versions of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess I have seen the movie, but I haven't seen the theatrical release of it. I have seen the commentary on the stupid turtle that is terrorizing the city, and there's a little boy that loves the turtle a whole lot. And when the turtle kills people, he's like, he's just my friend, and it's like this turtle is killing people, and the little boy loves it. Anyways, it's kind of my backstory in the kaiju world. But I wanted to talk to you about an important thing, which was, can these like giant old beings that can destroy cities, these big old monsters, can they actually exist? What is your thoughts like right off the? Do you think that they could exist?
So, like, short answer, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the older I get and the more I like learn about the Earth, the more freaked out I get because I think that it is entirely. I mean, dinosaurs. Here's the thing about them. How do we really necessarily know exactly what they looked like? Like, we have the bones, but like, how do we know exactly what they look like?
Well,
I feel like
now,
there's
I
a
mean,
lot.
dinosaurs have feathers now. You know, they were like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
found a feather near some bones. I guess they had feathers. And
yeah.
everybody's like,
See, I think that we are like basing, and this is like big time conspiracy
okay,
theorist
mm-hmm.
sounding. I don't mean it to sound that way,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like we have always just believed, based off of what scientists told us, this is how they looked, this is what they were, this is what we had, this is it. Think about how often every year new things are discovered, and they're like, this changes everything, and we just found this species, and we found this. What have we not found? You know what I mean? Think about how much of the ocean is just unexplored completely.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of space for things to be and things that could have been, covered up and buried and sleeping away and like the Earth is terrifying. We're just basing what we think the inside of the Earth looks like based off of what scientists tell us they think it looks like and what it's made up of. Like, nobody's actually been to the center of the Earth,
Right.
So it's like,
unless you're watching King Kong v Godzilla, which they totally do, which is totally
cool. But it's like, I don't necessarily think, yes, they're for sure real, but I don't rule out the possibility of things like that existing, in my opinion.
That makes sense. Not to rule it out.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of work my way down here. I have done a lot of research over the years if these things do exist.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the idea of these like strange creatures and like what could make these, because there's such a thing as giganticism and dwarfism, where like I forgot that beach in Virginia. I always forget that beach in Virginia with the very tiny horses. There's a beach in Virginia.
Assateague. There's like Chincoteague and Assateague.
Yes.
Islands. Yeah.
Yes. they have very tiny horses. It's like
Hmm.
little Sebastian everywhere, and they're just running
The
around.
Grayson Highlands too in
Hmm.
Virginia
Hmm.
have them as well, which is very a random place.
Hmm. It is not uncommon for things to adapt to the environment and get smaller or get bigger, depending on how many predators they have, depending on how much food is available in the particular place,
Mm-hmm.
depending on where they are in the food chain. Like there is a precedent set for animals to get very, very large. Now let's start with a big boy. Let's start with a big boy.
Yeah.
What people consider big, but Godzilla. Okay, Godzilla. In If we're doing the smallest version of Godzilla,
Mm-hmm.
weighs 14. Let's see, 14. I think that's 14,000 tons.
Yeah.
14,000 tons. That's how much
That's a
Godzilla
lot.
weighs. That a creature weighing that much is impossible. Um,
Right.
it is by gravity. Gravity cannot support a creature that big.
Right.
11,000 tons is the cutoff, where if you weighed that much, if something had that weight and mass in gravity, it would just collapse on itself. It would just like there would be no question. It would just immediately collapse on itself.
Right.
So the idea that there is something as big as Godzilla that's like towering above buildings, that's like the size of skyscrapers, that has
Mhm.
it has to have like it has to eat, it has to have a circulatory system, it has to like the amount of time that it would take his brain, like if you got Godzilla's brain to say I'm gonna move my foot,
Yeah.
like we can just do that. I can just move my foot back and forth here. It takes 1 second for that to transfer. So it's like he thinks he's gonna do something, like he thinks he's gonna move his arm, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
because he can't do anything.
So from a scientific standpoint, it would be quite difficult for this to exist.
Yes, for like an actual Godzilla creature could
Mm-hmm.
not exist on the planet Earth. That
Yeah.
we'll get to the planets here in a minute. So okay, we'll go down. We'll go to King Kong, right? King Kong.
Yeah.
King Kong is also very big. So
Yes.
the max, the ideal is the max a creature can grow is 3 times the size of an average version of that creature. That
Mhm.
is the absolute max that they think it can grow. King Kong's heart respiration and stuff
Mhm.
could not withstand the amount of oxygen that's in the atmosphere. So essentially, King Kong would just run around and then pass out because there's not enough
Yeah.
oxygen in the atmosphere. Now,
Okay.
when was there more oxygen in the atmosphere? Turns out when dinosaurs roamed the earth, because those are very big animals. They had
Yeah.
woolly mammoths, which were huge animals. All of
Right.
those animals were consuming a lot more oxygen. And
Yeah.
since the levels in the earth were very different from how they are now, they were able to actually breathe and walk around, and it'd be fun. So prehistorically, you could have a creature that big. Now, King Kong has varying sizes throughout a lot of the mythos of King Kong. I think he's his biggest in the most recent movie where he's trying to fight Godzilla, and then most of the others he's like a very large ape that's like maybe 4 or 5 stories tall.
Yeah.
He's
It just
able
like
to-
it reminds me of like the Hulk, because I feel like
Yeah.
in every Avengers movie and Marvel movie, the Hulk is either like really, really big, or you're just like, oh, that's a big dude. Like
Yes.
it's just very,
Yes.
doesn't make sense.
Now, there's also the problem of apes, like in general, like primates, can't weigh that much, or else
Okay.
they would fall over. Like there is a mass limit on certain animals, with their skeletal structures, with their muscles, with how their body is built.
Yeah.
King Kong on land could not. He would just fall over. He would just lay there. So the idea of him running, he would probably trip before he even ran for a minute to get out of breath.
So, but here's my question.
Okay.
So when you're using these scientific facts and I mean, how to kind of to what I said, are we just led to believe that this is the only way it can be, or do you think that there's a possibility that these things could be an exception to these rules, and that they could maybe exist or have existed at some point and
There
been
there is
that
an
big.
exception
Mm-hmm.
to the rule, which is kind of what you were getting at. The ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Gravity does not affect the ocean as much. Um,
Right.
you know, the kind of respiration that animals do is through water, and it's abundant, and the nutrients are there. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why you have like giant whales. Like whales are huge.
Really big. Yeah.
Whales are as big as King Kong, like
Yeah.
easily as big as a lot of the variations of King Kong. So that, and then deep ocean, like the farther you go down, it's been noted that creatures that they have found have been significantly bigger than
Mm-hmm.
the other creatures just because of the gravity disparity.
Mm-hmm.
Also because of the resources, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So if essentially what I'm saying is there could be a King Kong sized Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Like if King Kong was just way shorter, way less towering above the buildings, was more like towering above your apartment complex, it could happen. But he would have to be
Mm-hmm.
from the deep ocean.
See that I have this fear
Mm-hmm.
of things submerged in water that I can't see.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like lake water because you can't see
Yeah.
things. And if I had something touch if something touches my foot in a lake, I'm out of that water. I'm in the boat. I'm not like I don't like that. And just thinking about how deep the ocean can get in places that we have not explored. And now the possibility of something being down there that we just have never seen before, thousands and thousands and thousands of feet under the ocean
Mm-hmm.
and just pitch black. They send these teams down and they find these new fish and they find this, that, and the other. It's just like either they just haven't found things yet, or there are things down there they don't want us to know is down are down there.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not want to be a part of that team. If it's like a drone, which I'm sure a lot of it is like drone powered stuff now,
Right.
but
Or James Cameron, he goes down there sometimes for fun,
yeah, he just goes down there
It's
and
just like,
still living down there.
Avatar 3, we're putting that on hold. I got to go down. I got to take a dip.
Yeah,
Got to do a dip.
but it's just, I mean, even controlling a drone, like I get freaked out playing video games when things pop out. Imagine a real life, you're in the ocean and just like Godzilla comes up and just,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not built for that.
The other possibility
Yeah.
is that the creatures would not be from Earth. That
I mean, I think we both agree that's a possibility for sure.
other like low gravity planets can support larger creatures just because
Right.
they are very,
Mhm.
the gravity just works different there. In fact, here's the crazy thing. If we decide to make a moon colony and everybody was just like living on the moon, nobody left, everybody's living on the moon and moon gravity, we would like fundamentally humans would change that live there. So humans would get taller. Humans would probably, I think it was like 8 feet. They would get to be about 8
Yeah.
feet. Everyone would be very like skinny. Like everyone would be like super slender. Everyone would have much paler skin, and everyone would develop a webbing in between their arms and their fingers. If you look at, and this is like over the course of, this is not like Grandpappy was a normal human and I'm little grandson here and I'm some freaky monster. This is like over the course of like thousands of years.
Right.
They would develop webbing because it has the gravitational energy, the lack of gravitational force, that you could fly, like you could glide, like humans could glide if we developed webbing.
Yeah.
Oppositely, if you watch the seminal film, speaking of James Cameron, Avatar, you know that when they're on the low gravity planet, everybody has to work out because they're like, we're going to get weak if we just like, we got to be as strong as we can be.
Like muscle atrophy or something like that?
That's what happens over time. So creatures that are on higher gravity planets are actually smaller, but way more muscular, like are way more powerful because they're working in different gravity.
You're working against it all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So if it was from another planet, it probably would just be very big and
Hmm.
not be very strong. It would be able to, because we have such higher gravity here, that it would be like, oh my god, I can't move. What am I
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
I want to destroy the city, but I can't. I can't
Yeah.
do it.
It'd be like it's wearing like an extremely weighted vest everywhere and just can't go
Mm-hmm.
on. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's interesting though.
Mm-hmm.
That like I never thought about it from like a gravitational and because gravity does play a big role, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But so there are some possibilities, but it would be different than what we see in the movies.
Yeah.
Is what you're getting at?
It would be different. Obviously, it's fun. It's fun to think about a giant monster coming and destroying everything. That's awfully
Yeah,
a joyous time.
absolutely.
But it's not exactly like the kind of giganticism and dwarfism that happens.
Yeah.
That you would expect to find on like a solitary island out in the ocean is
Hmm.
not that much. It would be
Yeah.
interesting. Like you could
Yeah.
feasibly run into a gorilla that is like 3 times the size of a normal gorilla. Like that could
Hmm.
it is possible
Yeah.
that that could happen. That's why
Yeah.
Bigfoot is a thing. Like it could be that particularly, but otherwise
Hmm.
can't happen.
Yeah. I I just think about how they say like gorillas have the strength of like 10 men or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also makes me there's like right now, obviously, I'm sure you've heard about the big debate of like who would win between a grizzly bear and a like silverback gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
And like who do you think would win between the two?
A grizzly bear and a silver. I would say
Like full size both.
I would think a gorilla.
See, I used to think that. And then I saw the light because I looked it up.
Uh-huh.
And like a full size grizzly can be like I think it can weigh like on average like almost 100 pounds more than the gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like way taller when they stand up. They could like tower over a gorilla. And then I saw a picture of like a grizzly's paw, like a full grown paw with the like claws.
Mm-hmm.
I think the grizzly wins 10 out of 10. I used to be a gorilla advocate. I used to think gorilla wins
Yeah.
easy because gorillas, I mean, they're big. Like they're just like
They're
big,
big, but
like
they're more agile.
bodybuilders.
I would think that they're more agile than a grizzly.
Yeah,
But
but here's the
they're
thing:
able to like work around it.
I didn't realize how fast grizzlies work. Grizzlies can run like 35 miles an hour. Like
Really?
they're still very.
Are you
agile.
kidding me?
I'm not kidding. Bears, like black bears, I mean, they can run like 30, I think. You can never outrun a black bear. That's at least when I hike, that's what I've been taught is like if you see a black bear, don't run because it'll just laugh and like catch you. Like it won't even you have no shot.
Mm.
And grizzlies are much more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Like grizzlies are just aggressive by nature. Like they'll just track stuff down for the hell of it. Like black bears, like they'll leave you alone unless you're messing with it.
Mm.
Like they're not just gonna attack you for no reason.
Yeah.
But a grizzly will just ruin your day for no reason. And that's why like with Kong versus Godzilla and thinking about that, I'm like there was kind of the same argument of like who would win? Who's gonna win? Like who do you got?
Yeah.
And I for a little bit I was like King Kong because I mean he's got a thumb and
He's got a thumb. He's
he
already
could
ahead
probably
of the
fight.
game.
Yeah, he could probably fight. But then I thought about Godzilla and I was like, he's like nuclear. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like this thing can like. And I haven't seen the movie, and I mean, even if I had, I wouldn't want to like spoil the who wins. But like,
Boba Fett wins. He comes in the last minute,
yeah.
and Boba Fett wins, and everyone's like, "Wow, I didn't see that." And then Luke Skywalker comes out and stabs him.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It was it was a risk I think that they took with that storyline, but I think it paid off well.
I think it was. It's funny because that's always been my spoiler rooting joke is, and then Boba Fett shows up, but then there's a Star Wars show where it's like, that was an actual spoiler now.
Yeah. Boba Fett
and
just
then Boba Fett
shows
up. Yep.
And then Luke Skywalker showed up.
And then Luke Skywalker shows up. Yeah.
It's like, oh,
yep.
Wow. Called that.
So, grizzly bears obviously terrifying. So what would you do? What would we need to do if like we had a Godzilla come wreck and shop in like a city that you lived in? Like what is happening? What are the things that you got to do? What are the things that have to be in place?
I mean, here's my question
Okay.
to that question. Is there really anything like that you can do to really guarantee your safety? Because I don't really think there is.
There are ways. There are
Yeah.
ways to do that.
I mean, get underground maybe, like
A series of pulleys and a sled.
in a sled. Get a phone case
Get
for
a
your
phone
body.
case for just a single portion of your foot.
Yeah.
So the main thing that I had thought, and I looked it up, and it turned out to be the case, is actually flooding. Flooding would be rampant and would probably be the most destructive thing, because what happens is if this giant monster at this immense beast is out in the ocean stomping around, that's literally every stomp is a tsunami.
Yeah.
And then you're over there in the ocean on like a tectonic plate, and if you mess with that at that scale, you're having earthquakes. So essentially, you're going to need to find some way of dissipating or stopping tsunamis in every single one of the cities that these monsters could visit. Probably very high walls. Because here's the thing. Once they break the wall and walk into the city, because that's what they're going to do, then you're just going to have to worry about the water coming in through that hole rather than the entire city is flooded across the board.
Yeah. I mean, to what you said, because you mentioned the weight and like 14,000 tons, and like it makes me think about in Avengers how they dropped Sokovia, and like that was what Ultron wanted to drop the city to destroy the world. And I mean, that's like one drop from a height, but like think about if something weighs that much and it's consistently just like slamming down. Even more than flooding, I feel like we're just gonna have like mass destruction way beyond just that one city.
Yeah, pretty much every building that isn't like made of every building that is taller than probably 3 stories, that isn't made of solid concrete is pretty much gone. They're all pretty much gone. So obviously, you would need to figure out a way. You would probably have to be mole people. If this is like in all actuality, we would probably have to be mole people that lived underground.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't build anything above ground, and then we would still have to deal with the earthquakes wrecking everything below ground because that's still that.
So here's my question to that: if let's say this happened in New York City, let's just say New York. I think I want to see what you think.
Okay.
I feel like we would feel the shake in West Virginia from New York if it was that big of a being.
Yes.
Stomping. I feel like we would feel it here.
You would be able to feel it. Yeah. It's
That's
funny.
Wild.
It's funny because Godzilla swims, and then at some point he's like, oh, standing up. And I'm like, when does that go? Like,
he's like us when we're kids in like the kiddie pool, and like you can't feel anything, and you feel the ground, and you're like, okay, we're good.
All right, we're good. Yeah.
It's so like, that's like, just the human side of Godzilla. Everybody's been there.
Yeah. You're swimming around, you don't know, and then all of a sudden you get to that part where you're like, ah.
Does he like doggy paddle? Like, how does he swim?
I'm trying to think about how he swims. I mean, he's more like kind of mermaidy, I guess,
Yeah.
Like he's more like, imagine like Michael Phelps, like right as he dives in.
Yeah.
He's not out like doing a breaststroke or doing a regular, any kind of, there's no stroking. It's just more like when they dive in, they just like wiggle around. That's kind of, at least that's how he swam in the movie. That's, okay. I don't actually know Godzilla to ask him, but if I did, that's probably be the first thing.
If I was a director, I would have made him doggy paddle.
I mean, that would have been
kind
funny.
of dehumanizing. It'd be pretty funny. Be degrading a little bit, or just not be able to swim. That would be even funnier.
That's true. So obviously, like, your coastal cities are just screwed. Like,
they're gone.
Everywhere in the coast. How far inland do you think these things are going, you know? Like, where's the safe zone? I've always thought about this because let's say one day the polar ice caps just melt and all of the water just like recedes in. And it's like, where is like potentially safe?
Mm-hmm.
How far east or west or away from the coast do you have to be? Is it like 100 miles? Is it 200? Like, what do you think? Would Charleston be safe? Would like West Virginia be safe?
I think we would be safe other than around the rivers. Because I feel like the rivers, I feel like that water coming in is going to it's like I feel like it would be like a domino effect into the rivers and have the rivers rise.
That's true.
So, Charleston, which would essentially affect most of America. Because the rivers
now that I think about it, because of how runoff works, like your rivers would get larger mouths, but it wouldn't mean they would get larger all the way up, because technically rivers are like, funneling into the ocean. So like a river would have the same capacity. Now over time, if let's say you had a massive flood and all of a sudden it's like back up through there, your river would get wider. It would like grow wider instead of just being like a little area. But that would just be at the mouth. Pretty much, your rivers would be fine unless you're dealing with earthquakes, which, like could break a dam, Because once a dam breaks, that's a problem. That's a big old problem.
See, this is the stuff I really trust you with, though, because I feel like this is like this stuff, like with design and all of this thing, like with how this stuff infrastructurally like works,
right?
And I think that's something that people don't think about in these movies, like the real world ramifications of what, like, not just like, oh, this city's destroyed, or like a flood, like a mass crazy like flooding event, like how other places affected other than like the main, like the city that's in like the main plot of the story.
I would say before pre-COVID times, I would say people don't realize like what like little thing could absolutely decimate just like our way of life. Like, I think now people have a better grasp on that, but a dam. So like if let's say there's Summersville Dam, there's Bluestone Dam, or Gad Dam,
the Gad Dam,
Gad Dam up there. If one of those breaks, all of the houses in our neighborhood are underwater. All of the bridges that go into Charleston are underwater. So no one is like, Charleston becomes just like a few little islands on a river, and everybody's dead. And we probably only have, if a dam breaks, maybe like an hour or two to get out. Everybody.
Yeah.
And most people live. The weird thing about Charleston is they're so sprawl, since it's all river. A lot of cities like DC or Columbus, or you go out there, there's sprawl everywhere because everything kind of radiates out. Whereas here, it's all along rivers, and so it's like kind of radiates up. And so like you could say that Charleston, Huntington are very connected and are part of that same sprawl because it's all along the rivers. But when the river floods, all of, like dam breaking flood, then everybody gets washed away, pretty much.
Yeah, that was always, being so close to the river when I lived in Charleston, I was always a little afraid that something would happen. I mean, especially like if you're near the dams, like you have no time, you're just done.
Oh yeah, if you live below the dam, you're oh brother, where art thou? Like you are.
Yeah.
You are good and toasted at that point. But people don't think about that. People don't think about what like little thing. So it's not even like Godzilla coming. Like if Godzilla decided to come to the city would probably already be destroyed before he showed up. It would
just
probably,
from the
just
like
from
the seismic. Yeah.
Yeah, the seismic, the waves. He'd probably get there and be like, "Well, this sucks.
Yeah,
I came all this way to do some destruction."
Yeah. Why can't they just do everything like out in the middle of nowhere?
That's true. That's true.
Let's see that movie.
That's true. Where like Godzilla is like, all right, guys, it's we're gonna have bachelor party weekend, and we're going to sub-Sahara Africa.
Yeah.
And we're going out there in the middle of the desert, and we're just pushing some dunes around. It's a big sandbox, and we've got some sandcastle molds that we're gonna put up.
I want Godzilla in like Nebraska.
Godzilla in Nebraska. I like that. I like that.
Out in a cornfield. Enjoy
Godzilla in Indiana, where he's just like walking around, and they're like, a massive amount of corn and grass, just
Yeah.
like
No buildings to fall because they're
right.
all like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it would be good. Just old stuff would fall down. New stuff would be fine. I say that, but that's probably not true. Everything would probably collapse.
So, long story short,
Okay.
these things could exist, but they have to be underwater
Yeah.
or from a different planet.
Yeah. And if they're underwater, here's the thing. Here's the part where I alert, I guess, gravity would have to be different for them to come up out of water.
Yeah.
They're never coming out of the water. Like, now, if you fall off a boat and then you sink down into the Mariana Trench, I mean, at that point, you're probably dead, but you're also really screwed because a giant, like, Loch Ness monster is going to come eat you.
This is probably a dumb question. I just don't know. Have we explored the Mariana Trench or do we just know that it's there?
That's where, what's his face? I about said James McAvoy. James Cameron. That's where he goes, Our boy James Cameron, he goes to Mariana Trench. Yeah, he goes down there. He has this, like, sub. He got so used to it in Titanic, He
just goes down.
He does that. He's done a documentary down there. But I mean, it's what you can see, and it's so dark there, like it's so pitch black that it's really only like what's right in front of his face. So like, imagine you're walking down the street and you can only see like maybe 2 feet in front of you, and that's your impression of the world. Like your impression would be there's sidewalk and there's grass, but you wouldn't be able to tell that there's buildings or people living their lives. Like you wouldn't have. You could be able to do some like sonar or scan some things, but at that point, all of your like technology and pressurization has to be pretty airtight, so you can't have anything. I mean, you could have ultra complex things, but you couldn't have a lot of stuff. You couldn't have like this giant submarine that has all of these scanners and such on it.
This has been probably the most technical podcast we've done that has just made my brain hurt a lot thinking about science. I'm not good at science. I like it.
I like science. And this is all from information that I've learned over the years. So I have no citations for any of this. So I could be, I'm pretty solid on the 11,000 tons that would absolutely, you wouldn't be able to exist. I'm pretty solid on that number. A lot of the other numbers, I'm not.
Yeah. So what, what would you, because I'm assuming you watched Kong versus Godzilla.
I did.
What would you rate that movie out of 10?
Kong versus Godzilla. Here's the
thing. Like overall enjoyment. We'll just say an enjoyment
factor. Enjoyment factor, 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Here's the thing. And I always say this, and I say this a lot. You've heard me talk about Jolly Pirate. I like a thing that sets out to be a single thing and does it really well. This is like, if you want to see King Kong fight Godzilla in really fun and cool ways and not really get caught up too much in the story, fantastic movie. King Kong
is the movie for you.
King Kong is a really good character for that film. There are some really cool locations that they go. If you're looking for dynamic banter, if you're looking for a kind of plot that is, I guess, advanced, you're probably not going to get it. However, the great thing about this movie is it's under 2 hours. And we don't have
straight to the point.
They're just straight to the point, right? The whole thing is they're trying to move. This is like first 10 minutes of the movie. They're like, we got to move King Kong because the place that we have him is too small and he doesn't like it. But they're like, okay, here's the problem. If we move King Kong, Godzilla will find out because he's an alpha predator and King Kong is an alpha predator, and they're gonna fight. And what do? They try to move him, and guess what happens right off the bat? They start going at it. Like it is. They do a little bit of character setup of here's the humans and here's King Kong, and now we got him on a boat, and now we're gonna fight.
All right. Well, you've piqued my my interest a little bit.
I've kind
of have to.
Well, eventually I'm gonna. I love talking about these HBO Max shows and various things because I know that you don't have it. So it's always funny for you to be like, I kind of understand what's going on. I kind of get
You have no idea, especially after my last the COVID vaccine,
Mm-hmm.
when I was sitting here just like tired and bored, I was like, I could get HBO Max. There'd be a lot of things to watch there. I didn't. I watched Tenet instead. I was like, I'm gonna watch Tenet, so my brain hurts and I don't feel like doing anything. And but I mean, I just want to get it, try it out, you know.
I went out to see Tenet in the theaters when it came out, and I went to a theater, and we were the only people there, and it was awesome because it was back in like hardcore
when everything
times,
was starting to shut
and so
down.
we were like, okay, we're not gonna see anybody for 2 weeks, so we need to, like, it was at a point. There came points in time during the pandemic where we were like, we need to get out of the house and do something, and we're gonna mask up. We're gonna like distance ourselves. We're not gonna like, we're going to we normally get popcorn and sodas and stuff. It's like, nope, we're just like walking into the movie theater, limiting touching things, and just like sitting down. And if it's too crowded, we'll leave, we'll go. Like, I have no problem being like, whatever, because our theater is also it's not like the theater downtown, it's not like a Marquee or a AMC or like, it's like a kind of a local chain, I guess. It's like a very, very special
I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's great. Free popcorn refills normally in normal times, which is amazing. Free drink refills. It's amazing. I don't understand where they got that technology, but it's amazing. I saw that movie in the theater, and it hurt my brain too. It was great, though.
It was, by the end of it, I was like, really good movie. Still trying to figure out what happened in a couple places, but enjoyable.
And there's some pretty big things when you start to really think about it. Things don't connect, and then you're like, I think that's just there's like an intentional. They don't want to explain. That. They don't want. This doesn't have to connect.
They kind of throw you in, and then you're like, should I already know who that is, and then you're just like, I'll let it ride, and then you figure it out, and you're like, okay, so they intentionally There were like 10 of those moments in that movie for me.
I will say, every time they do a backwards fight, it is so cool. It is like some of the coolest action that I've seen.
Like, from a cinematography point, I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, Nolan's done it again. Just like watching this crazy, I mean, it was cool. But that was instead of HBO Max, Tenet was my vice.
Well, I mean, Tenet was going to be on HBO Max. I think it actually is on HBO Max right now.
Probably, as I could have killed two birds and just gotten HBO Max.
I mean, you played yourself if DJ.
Well, it was like $2 to rent it, so it wasn't too bad.
I know. Well, how are you going to fit that into your budget? Let me see your spreadsheet. Like, let's figure that one out.
Godzilla versus Kong might have to happen.
Well, I mean, soon. you gotta get HBO Max to see the Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I am so excited. I am so excited for a Mortal Kombat movie. It seems like from the trailers, it seems kooky. Like, I'm just ready for that. I'm ready for it to be like Fast and Furious. Like, the level of intensity that Fast and Furious is.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that.
Well, that is what with Falcon and the Winter Soldier that I've been like, I know that you had mentioned that it was kind of like Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
With and it's cool. I honestly think I've been enjoying it more than WandaVision. And I loved WandaVision, but I felt more like really in it with Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I think it's funny. It's in general, that show is funny to me because, like, Captain, and this is gonna be what we're excited for. By the way, we're here. What we're excited for. We're gonna talk about shows. That's gonna be the end of the show.
Yeah.
This is like a late comer, but this is what we're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Before that, they had Captain America and the Winter Soldier, the sequel to Captain America. That is probably one of the best Marvel movies.
Oh, yeah.
Because not only is it a Mission Impossible movie, it's like a Metal Gear Solid video game all at the same time, and it's super over the top, and there's like this evil doctor, and how many... In Metal Gear, they talk about this thing that they're always fighting, or that the character has that the other bad people have and they don't want it to get out. So sometimes it's like nano machines that make you stronger. So they're always talking about nano machines, or this parasite that makes you stronger. So they're always talking about the parasite. And this one, they're like super soldier serum. How many times in that show do they say super soldier serum? And I am so into it. I am so into the premise. I am into the runtime. I am into this, like, now sometimes it's a little slow. Sometimes it gets a little slow. Yeah. But the whole idea of it, I think I'm more on board for where it could go. I feel like that WandaVision was a great setup for a show that didn't go a lot of the places that I wanted to. But I feel like this one's more grounded, and I understand what it's going to be more. And I think maybe I'm a little more excited, you know?
I think I'm excited to see the rest of it, obviously, but I think I'm even more excited for Loki.
Because
the new trailer dropped for Loki, and it looks sick. Like, because I feel like there's going to be the action, but there's going to be like the comedy, like Owen Wilson sitting down with him and being like, Loki, I have studied almost every moment of your life, and you've stabbed people in the back like literally 50 times. And he's just like, well, I'll never do it again. Like, just like the fact that, like, because he's always been like a very likable character, even though he just sucks. So like now that you're gonna get this, like, you're gonna get like this anti-hero type of thing with him, like centered around him finally, I think is gonna be good, and I think it's gonna set up a lot of other things. Like Disney Plus has been killing it the last year between like Mandalorian and WandaVision and all, and like it's insane.
I like in our chat, Scully Face has come in and said, and she's a friend of the show, WandaVision feels like a test run show, but I still love it.
Yeah.
And I agree. It feels like that they were like, let's try this and see if it works. And this is like a concept that we kind of have, but I guess we need to work it into the Marvel universe. I agree.
Yeah.
It's like, in concept, like, they're like, let's see if we can do this. Let's try this.
When it ended, I was like, damn, like, I feel like it was just really, really getting good. Like, it was good through, but like it picked up, and I wanted more. I feel like based off of like the timeline, it seems like it was just going to be like a one-off thing to set up like Doctor Strange and all and everything. But I like the idea of these series that they're doing, because I feel like you get so much more than a movie.
Yeah.
Because you get weeks and weeks of like 30, 45-minute episodes, and it ends up being like almost like a trilogy almost that you get in like runtime. So I love it, but I just wonder where they go. I mean,
I think
it's good.
Oh, sorry.
I think it's good that they're like exploring in some of these other shows, like the lesser known Marvel storylines at times, like some of these backstories they're going to be following rather than just like always Captain America, always Iron Man. Like now that they're getting away from that, I think that they're definitely opening the universe up a lot, which is good.
The thing that really stood out to me about the Loki trailer is the set design of all of this like old, like futuristic 60s technology, like 1960s televisions and like weird like old school Men in Black, like the technology that they're using. So it kind of looks out of time. Like it doesn't look like that it could be of any time, but it doesn't look like it belongs to any particular time. I love it when things do that, especially when they're talking about, you know, the time travel or that kind of stuff. Like Doctor Who kind of has a similar feel, where it's like a lot of that technology and stuff that they use is like kind of, you know, from the 60s when it was first going on. It's like it kind of has that inspiration. It kind of moves forward with it. I am excited for the Star Wars stuff that they're doing. I like the idea of a limited series because, frankly, it feels like that I think they think it's hard to do a trilogy, which I understand, of like a 3-hour movie times 3. That's like 9 hours of like cohesive story. I feel like that's pretty daunting for them with the amount of people that they want to work with and the amount of people that they want to bring stuff in for. So like a limited series can run, you know, 8 or 10 episodes. I think the average is like 8. And I mean, if you do that at like, you know, the 30 to 40 minute mark for each one, you get like a 4-hour piece. And if it's limited, like this Obi-Wan series is going to be a limited time series, which makes sense because there is a very clear beginning and end to Obi-Wan. Like
Yeah.
there's not much
Yeah.
to extrapolate
We
on.
kind of know what's going to happen almost in some ways.
Right, right.
It makes it seem like it's almost like they want to get it right. Like they're like, all right, we've got this set like right here, this amount of time. We're doing it right now. We're not spreading it out. Let's just get it right. And because you see so many like trilogies, like by the end of it, people are like, sucks. Wasn't as good as the first one. But like if you just get it all like one stretch of like 2 or 3 months, it all just seems really good because
Right.
you're just like, okay, this is great. And I think that I just wonder if this is like going to be the future with these Disney things. Like you're going to get less movies, more series, you know?
I think that's their shtick for. I
Yeah.
think that they had so many Marvel things in production that they're putting out like 4 at a time this year, and I think that's slowing down the amount of series that they have running. The Star Wars movies, they've only got, I think, 2 officially announced and 1 on the books. And I think the next one is just going to be the lady that does Wonder Woman, and it's going to be about X-wing pilots. And then after Taika Waititi does the Thor movie, he's going to do his Star Wars. And then they've got a Rian Johnson, who did The Last Jedi. He's doing another one, which is very funny to me because the one that they do not talk about or mention as production is the one that the Game of Thrones writers had. They're not doing that one anymore. And I'm thinking to myself,
yeah,
how could you screw that up?
I just love that Taika Waititi is doing both Marvel and Star Wars now. That just makes me happy. I think that anything he does is amazing. Like he's such a good director, and like he brings like the right amount of like comedy but action, and just like the story is everything's just so cohesive and like just flows.
But his like independent like Jojo Rabbit that he put out recently was great. Was like,
I still need to watch that. I've been meaning to watch that.
We're a big fan of Wes Anderson. He's a film director, and a lot of his films, and that is the most Wes Anderson film that I've seen, and it's better than a lot of other Wes Anderson films, where it is charming and very witty, and the writing is great, and it's very endearing and emotional. But you should definitely watch that. That's a really really good movie. I'm excited. I'm excited for all this Disney Plus stuff. I'm excited for all of the things. It's fun. It's fun to have a weekly show.
Yeah,
it's really fun. Like
I like that they haven't just put it all out at once. I've enjoyed that.
I don't enjoy that. And Netflix like sticks by their guns with that. But I'm like, if you release The Witcher like week by week, people would talk about it. And I mean, that's and people will say, well, that's dumb because if it's already made, like just put it out. But how often do we talk about Tiger King?
Yeah.
Like that was a month or 2.
Yeah.
Then she went out Dancing with the Stars.
It's very brief, and like that's the thing with like when Stranger Things came out, like any Stranger Things, it's really big for like 3-4 weeks, and then it fizzles again. But you look at WandaVision, like every week on TikTok, I'd get on TikTok, I'd have like on my For You page like 10 to 15 theory videos and people engaging with hundreds of thousands of likes, Twitter trends, like for a month and a half, and it's still kind of going on.
Yeah.
And now with the Winter Soldier, or with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, same thing. To what you're saying, like I feel like it's so much better for your brand.
Oh yeah.
And it sometimes sucks having to wait, but like if you really want engagement, like after 2 or 3 weeks, people start saying, okay, now I want to start talking about this, and they start seeing it on their page, and they're like, maybe I'll watch this. But it can just be like a blip if you do it all at once.
I love the discourse behind it. Like, I love reading about theories and reading about the different stuff, and I feel like that's one area that Netflix is really lacking, and they're thinking of it as a strength that they release all of this stuff at once, but I think they really lose out on that weekly, venture that they could go on of people theorizing about what's going to happen next. When is this character? We know that this person is built for the show. When are they going to come? Like,
yeah, it's definitely, I think Disney's doing it right for sure. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff we're excited about. I love it.
we're like super nerds, and so we're just excited
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
Excited.
Oh, for sure.
Excited.
Yeah.
Excited. Gonna get that Fallout TV show here soon. It's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be so good. TV is so much better now. You know,
It is. Yeah.
like TV, like okay, it like started with we had Mad Men first. I think Mad Men was the first good. I will say that Mad Men was the first good TV show, like cinema.
Walking
quality.
Dead was good, and then it just.
Walking Dead came next, and I will give it that.
Yeah.
I will definitely give it that. Walking Dead and Breaking Bad, I think, came out around the same time.
Yeah, it was like 2010-ish, somewhere around there.
And that was great. And then I think like AMC essentially made film quality TV, and then everyone else had to get on board.
Yeah.
And since then, it's like a numerous amount of shows that are fantastic. Like every network probably has one. Outside of your regular like ABC, CBS, that kind of stuff, a lot of their stuff still in syndication. But like USA, I'm trying to think of other channels now. MTV brought back Jersey Shore. Like TV is great. TV is great.
Yeah. It's definitely come a long way. I used to not watch shows. It was just like movies, and that was it. You know?
Mean, it used to be that my parents would put on the television, and then it would be 48-hour mystery every single night. And I'm like, okay, I know the husband killed the wife.
Yeah.
And
it's all Dixie watches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dixie used to watch all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I feel you. But now we got all this stuff to be excited about.
Exactly. Well, I think that's the end of our show. I think that's where we're going to end it. I think that's where I decided to stop the trolley. The trolley was going on and
Stop the trolley.
And that's where we're going to end it. You can always follow the show at Vault Boys WV. We're on all the different podcast services: Spotify, Google, Pocket Casts, iTunes, the list goes on. You can also watch us live every Wednesday at 5 p.m. at twitch.tv/VaultBoysWV. Catch the video later on YouTube. That's at Vault Boys as well. Everything is just labeled Vault Boys. If you're looking for Vault Boys, that's where they are. Except don't look for Vault Boy. Don't Google that, because that brings up something different. And that thing probably, if we're looking at brands, that's probably a higher brand than we are. Outside of that, don't forget to leave your reviews on iTunes. And we haven't gotten any yet. We haven't gotten any new reviews yet, but I'm going to keep to my deal of singing the song. I'm gonna sing a review, and Austin's gonna have to guess the tune that I'm singing it to. I'm doing. This is the deal that I've made. And then on the Fallout Hub, which is another show that I do, I want you to, while you're there, leave a 5-star review on that. I'm gonna sing a Fallout version of the review on that show. I'm setting myself up for a singing career. Yeah,
I hope it takes off. I really do, sincerely.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be the best singer. I'm more trying to be like a kind of a Weird Al situation, Yeah, I feel like that's a better get right on that market with that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that's it for the show. Austin, do you have anything going on in your life of what's going on? Anything you want to pimp out?
Not a lot, man. Just getting ready for summer.
Yep.
Just busy, but nothing else nothing really exciting other than that.
If you have the opportunity, you should also get that COVID vaccine. All the states are opening up. You should do that. I'm not a medical professional, but I encourage everyone to do that. It is worth this lethargic feeling that I've had for a while now. It's worth it. I would rather have that than die.
Yep. One day of uncomfort or discomfort and just kind of and then you're back to normal. Yep. That quick.
Yep. Part of it. Well,
go get vaxxed.
Just remember, ladies and gentlemen, that we have you covered from holler to highway, 6 ways to Sunday.